I'm going to make a defense of what happens when stuff like that gets ordered. It gets in a general's head, and I've done plenty of reading about this. For instance, Burnside. Okay, let's take Fredericksburg as an example. His army has crossed the Rappahannock River, okay? And I'll pause for this. It's overnight. I feel fine pausing for this. So Burnside's army has crossed the Rappahannock River. Its back is now to the river with only these rickety, these few number of pontoon bridges to try to conduct an orderly retreat across, right? So for all Burnside knows, once the attack up toward Prospect Hill has essentially faltered and not achieved enough momentum to carry out a broader sweeping movement with the whole army, what you're afraid of at that point is, well, shoot, I've got to play defense now with my back to the river, not a ton of space to set up my artillery and my men. Yeah, there's a city there, but with my back to the river. So if Lee comes down off that hill and just sweeps us back into the river, we can't have that. So again, the maxim that at any moment when it comes to military science, generally speaking, what you're doing is, whether that's with skirmishers, recon forces, artillery, aircraft, it doesn't matter. You are attacking. Like, everything in the military thinking of any situation often is like, when should we attack? Moments between attacking. You don't go a lot of the times in the school of thought of like, we're going to go someplace and we're going to defend. We're going to just wait for them to come at us. You are all the time trying to push ahead, try to push the initiative, to try to seize the initiative. So as I understand it, what Burnside's fear is that Lee was going, now that his the attack on Prospect Hill had lost steam and had basically failed, because he was pinning a lot on that attack, Burnside was, and it almost worked. Matter of fact, probably would have worked if the generals underneath him had executed it properly. And let's not forget, this Burnside's case, that those pontoon bridges didn't get to his army in time either. And so he's in a bad spot with his back to the river, and in his mind he's going, well, now we're going to have to, we got all day now. We got to attack them, or they're going to attack us and drive all of my entire army into the river and maybe destroy my army. And if you think about it like that, it explains the decision to literally just keep throwing men at Marye's Heights. And just keep throwing men at Marye's Heights and keep throwing men at Marye's Heights. Because Burnside saw what Jackson did over off Prospect Hill after his attack had faltered. There was a huge battle that took place over on that side of the battlefield where Jackson pushed some troops forward. I think they crossed over there was a railroad embankment that was fought over back and forth. But Jackson was kind of pushing over there. Burnside's like, well, Lee could do the same thing over here near Fredericksburg too. I had better attack, or my army's just going to get driven into the river. So dumb things like Fredericksburg even have reasons behind them that are even kind of a little bit like, okay, all right, I get it. So in order to save the army, what you're saying is that we're going to have to get a whole bunch of guys killed, is what you're saying. And at the end of the day, that ends up kind of being the long and short of it. That's a fascinating part about Civil War history. Yeah, Meade was there. So, shoot, I could talk about this stuff all day long as we take a break from the actual gameplay. But yeah, Meade, and it's like inadvertently to him. I love reading about that. It was like his division goes forward. Franklin doesn't give him any kind of support whatsoever because he's not confident, I guess, in what he's got in front of him, and sends a piecemeal force. I forget the details about that, I think, about the personalities and what they were thinking at the time, being mostly General Franklin. And Meade is breaking through the Confederate line in a spot where the Confederates didn't think the Union would think to send troops at. And indeed, Meade has got a breakthrough going. Had he gotten any kind of support, he probably could have kept punching through, and then they probably could have set another division up behind him and had themselves, and had the Rebs reeling from the right flank right from jump. And so at that point, then, okay, let's pretend like Burnside's attack over there on Prospect Hill was working, right? Okay, well, then attacking Marye's Heights, excuse me, starts to make more sense because you're already rolling them up from that side, and now it's time to push from this side, right? I love that part about history, man.